I'm Oussama Hafferssas. I'm an Android engineer in the app platform. And today we are going to see together if the animation works, about proof of concept projects. And actually, we're going to see together a guide on how to make a proof of concept project, because actually there's little to no guide about making them, and we need them in tech. And before start talking about what you may not know, let's start about the things that you actually know. And I think you know the story of something called the snowball. Snowball has a really short story, let's say. A big snowball has its size just by rolling over coming from a higher place. So it starts with really small snowball, and then by rolling over, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes it's even smaller than this. And this applies actually in our everyday life of the product, because product starts as an idea and then grow up by iterating on them, and then come up as a whole product. And in this journey, they pass by different stages, from the idea all along to a product, a full product. And I have a question for you. You may know about something called MVPs, like minimal viable product. So if you have like these three states between the idea and the product, where would you put the MVP? Option one. Yeah. This is the third of the rule. Option two. Okay, second, third. And option three. Okay. How many of you is sure about his answer? Because I have a second question for you, was about prototype. If you choose one of these states, what would be the prototype state? And I help you have the answer. Actually, the MVP is this thing. Yeah, there's some winners here. The MVP is very close to the full product, because it's a product, it's minimal, but it's a viable product. So it's something that we can give actually to clients, and they can work with it. Prototype is less of a product and more of experimentation. And usually we don't give it to clients. And I will give you a quick example, and the example is coming from Apple. So these photos were taken from a factory where Apple recycles their products. So they experiment with things, and then after a year or two, they send them to the recycling factory, and people there take photo of those products. One of these products is the Apple Watch, and the early days Apple Watch prototypes. On the left side, your left, we can see that The Simpsons is a very big part of our culture in tech. And on the right side, you can see that this model actually was hit by train. Yeah, just that's for the sake of joke. But really, like, if you see on the left side, the model is not that watch. It's more about mobile experience, but it's not watch experience. So this would be the prototype. It's something that we would not give to actual users. But the model on the right side can be a viable product as a watch. So this will lead us to say that MVP can involve clients, and prototype is less about involving clients and less and has less aesthetics. And by talking about this MVP and prototype, it's just to make the room to talk about the proof of concept. So now you know where a proof of concept state is in the life cycle of the product. And the actual name of proof of concept actually says everything about it. It's about proving that something works and that a concept works. But why we are talking about this in the Tech Summit? So we're talking about tech, why we are talking about product in this presentation. Because in our products, we have a lot of tech. Here in Trainline, other products, the most of products are made of tech. And it's the case of MVP and prototype. And it's even more for a proof of concept. Sometimes it's about tech. There's a new tech that comes out that can enables us to make products. So we need to evaluate that technology using a proof of concept project. So the evaluation part is a very big part of the goal of a proof of concept project. And this is why we are talking about this today. And by doing a good proof of concept, you can actually find opportunities of growth for the product, or you can do it wrong and it can bring down the product and everything with it. So it's very crucial to do this properly and to avoid some arguments like this. You discover the technology, you see, you like it, you experimented with it, you find that it's working for you, it works on your machine. You're not using containers, just joking. Yeah, and you will say, hey, it works like charm, it should work for our business. Please let's avoid this, because evaluating technology is about context. We need to always think about, hey, I'm evaluating this technology. I'm doing this proof of concept. I will test it for a specific context. It's not about just me liking that technology. That's crucial for us as engineers. And this pragmatic evaluation will look like showing the actual benefits and the actual limits of that technology. And I'm not just showing what you like about a technology. And what you would say is, hey, whatever technology on the list, we say it fulfills our needs in terms of. So this would be the pragmatic way of evaluating technologies. Yeah, at this point you say, where is the guide? Just show me the guide, stop speaking. I need just a cup of water. We don't have water.
Sorry.
Yeah. Let's move on. With step one, we start, and as we said, we start from the needs. You need to understand the project needs. You need to be aware of them, and you need to have them in your vision before you start evaluating any tech. And what will help you evaluate or identify those needs inside of the project? I will show you just later. But what you need to keep in mind is that the needs is not about software engineering. It's also about the needs of UX and UI designers, the QA engineers, even the HR needs. Because technology is so impactful, it can impact more, not just the software engineering team, but also all the business sides. And the one thing that can help you a lot with this is to track frustrations across the team. There is a communication framework called the non-violent communication. It's not about violence. It just says that violence is the symptom of a non-fulfilled need or a frustration, and frustration is symptom of non-fulfilled need. So if you identify frustrations inside of your team, they will help you track down to the needs that the technology or whatever is not fulfilling for your team. And this would be the first thing you start with before or when you are doing the proof of concept project. Identify the needs. We are making something on the right side. You will see later. The second step would be the actual making of that proof of concept and evaluating that technology. And in this process, you need to keep in mind the scientific mindset, which means that you are not there to say that you like a technology or just to be sentimental about it. You need to be pragmatic about it. And the best thing to do to be in a pragmatic state is to be scientific, in a scientific mindset. And actually, it's very simple. We did this in our studies before. the scientific method starts with the state of the art. You know what's going there. You know what's going there in the domain on the technology stuff. For the technology that you are evaluating, let's say this new framework, whatever, you start by reading the doc. Why? You will see what the creators of that technology are trying to resolve as problem. You will try to understand what's actually the problem. Don't go directly and start playing with it. It's not a good idea. Read the documentation. It's hard, I know, but please start with that. And then after reading, you will build your hypothesis, your own hypothesis that, hey, I read this. I think this technology will resolve X problems that we have. And this will be your hypothesis. Write it down, keep track of it. And then when you experiment, you will be experimenting against that hypothesis. And during the experimentation, you will play and you do whatever you like with the product, with the proof of concept or the technology that you are evaluating. And after or during the experimentation, please measure everything. If it's about performance, measure performance. It's about complexity, measure complexity. Even the time you spend learning it, because it's a very important thing to have in mind that, hey, technology is easy to pick or is hard to pick. This kind of stuff is actually things that we should measure. And then after all of this, keep all of this in a report, in document, so you can track down what you have done. And you can iterate doing this for a lot of things that you feel that you need to experiment with. Maybe you have a lot of needs. This technology is very vast, so you will pick a lot of subjects, and you do the same process on all of these subjects. And this would be the meat stack or the vegan stack on your burger. And yes, we are making a burger just before lunch. And just like any burger, you can have like multiple sticks or meat stacks on your burger. And what makes the difference is your budget. How much do you pay for that burger? And this applies also for our proof of concept project. So the number of iterations is actually the time that you have is limited by that time and the budget that you have for that proof of concept projects. And when I say budget, it can be money, it can be people, resources, people working with you, the time, and all of this. So this is something very important to keep it in mind. And one thing that can help you a lot with that is to start with the happy path and there go to explore the complicated stuff with that technology. This will help you a lot. And to not miss on quality, the best thing to have is a second pair of eyes when you are experimenting with any technology. It's better than doing that proof of concept, having all set up, and then coming later and sharing your findings with the team. Sometimes it's better to have someone or people from your team coming to see what you are doing in your experimentation. Maybe they will give you ideas. Maybe you missed some points, and you will have that input, making you do more relevant work on your proof of concept project. This was step 2. Step 3. I know there's lots of things going on, but if I told you that this is a burger, so the first step was the bread slice, then the meat slice step. What should be the other thing that we will be adding? The bread, another bread slice. And if the bread slice that we've put in the first place was about the needs, so this one also is about the needs of the team. So what you will be doing is you will be making a projection about what you have found after experimentation on the needs that you have tracked before. And this will help you gain transparency and pragmatism about your proof of concept. So yeah, I know that this is a little bit complicated, but what you should do is you've tracked before project needs, the software engineers needs before in the first step. And then you experimented with the technology. You have finding 1, finding 2. You would say that this finding, I found that something works for engineers, but another thing doesn't work for them. And you can do the same for other people working in that team or impacted by this technology. And it will help you a lot evaluate scientifically that technology that you are trying to evaluate. And this would be the bread, the last slice of bread. But it's not finished yet because we do good burgers here. And the first step, and this is, I promise you, this is the last step, would be sharing your takeaways. So after you're doing all this hard work, really, you come up at a place where you need to share what you have found with the team. So you will have at this point all what you have written down from the previous steps, like the measurements, the reporting stuff, and all what you have found. It should be technical when you are talking about technology. It helps a lot. A sample project, if you are using some kind of technology, would be awesome to have to share with the team. Maybe they can play with it to learn what we have in that technology, and also to trace this this project later. It can even be like the brain for other things. And the highly recommended one is talks, like synchronous communication. The first 2 months, this is asynchronous communication. So you have things and people will just see it later. But the synchronous communication side of things is very important. Why? Because we tend to not read the documentation. So it's better to have like 5 minutes direct communication, direct conversation about what you have found. And I will give you the tips to master this. I have 2 tips for you. The first one is about audience aware. You need to be, when you present your findings about technology, don't go deep to the technology just for the sake of it. If you have an audience full of software engineers, yeah, you may do it. But if you have a different audience where you have product teams, marketing teams, maybe people from other departments, please tune down a bit the technical side of it and try to be I'm searching for the word there, conscious about at what level you need to go to the details. And the best thing you can do is to do a future reality tree. What is a future reality tree? I give you an example. So this one about like the yellow box is about the technology that you are evaluating. Let's say for this example, it's Jetpack Compose, a UI framework for Android. You would say if we use this technology, we'll come up with 2 results. The first one will be better quality, and the second one will be a better time to market, just helping us going faster and implementing UI faster. And then with these 2 results, if you do the end, which is the yellow circle, you would come up to the final result, which is happier clients, the stakeholders. So this, in this part, you are showing the result of using a technology. But what you should also show is the constraints to use that technology, what you should have or what you should do to use that technology. And you will say, hey, we need to have this, or we need to learn this. And then you show where you should invest time and money and budget on the root side of the tree. And this will help the leadership have that map of actions and decide quickly about what to do about this technology and what is the output and what would be the input. And it works very, very, very effectively in my experience. And this would be the topping on the burger. And you can go very creative with topping on burgers. So I will give this for you. So this is it. You start always by project needs when you are doing proof of concept, understand them, make sure of it, go scientifically in the scientific mindset, do your experimentation, note everything, and then after always come back to the project needs, make projections on them, and communicate well about what you have done. And always remember, just like snowball, start small. Thank you.